What's up, Ant City, and welcome back to another Sparking Zero video. I know it's been a minute since I've uploaded a video. Long story short, I didn't have the opportunity to set up my PC. I didn't have space in my room for it, but now I do. So we're going to get some videos pumping out here. And I'm sure you've seen the thumbnail and the title. So we're going to be talking about stuff that I want to see in Sparking Zero. This is going to be a little mini video series, I'd call it. And just to explain it, so if you go on my Twitter account, I've got this thread here, right, of a bunch of things I want to see in Sparking Zero, right? So we've got like costumes and a bunch of other stuff, but only thing with that is obviously one long thread would take forever to scroll through. So my pinned tweet here has the different categories. If I can go to it, there we go. If you see here, there's like a category for costumes, characters, transformations, all of that. So we're just going to be going through these one by one. We're going to do different videos for each one of these, but this video, we're going to be focusing on characters. So we'll go to that thread. Now, before we really get into the characters, I do want to mention one thing that you're going to notice this thread of all the characters does not have any characters that were in Tenkaichi 3. And that's due to the simple fact that I just believe every character from Tenkaichi 3 should be in Sparking Zero, like point blank. So going with that as our base. So the characters I mentioned here are going to be on top of the characters that should already be from Tenkaichi 3. So Tenkaichi 3's roster should all be in Sparking Zero. I felt like it'd be more creative to talk about characters that haven't been in either of the games, Sparking Zero or Tenkaichi. So that's what the thread focuses on. But just remember, if you think I'm leaving anyone major out, it's probably because they were in Tenkaichi 3 already. So let's just get straight into it. Now, going into what if stuff here, which actually this might be how I start the video, I'm not gonna lie, because this is just the part that's the most interesting to me. But first one is obvious. If you haven't played the story mode or episode battle of Sparking Zero, then you should skip over the what if stuff, because I'm gonna get into spoilers here heavily. So yeah, just like click off the video right now. I'll give you like 3 seconds to leave because I'm getting into spoilers of like stuff that happens in this game. So 3, 2, 1. But all right, so first character, Gohan Black for what if stuff. My thing with this is you're going to hear me talk about this in probably all the videos because there's at least one example of this, I feel like, in pretty much every topic I talked about. But stuff like Gohan Black or anything that was in the story mode but isn't playable should just be usable. Because why is Gohan Black only in story mode? That's dumb, especially because people have modded it and he has his own whole moveset and like unique lines and stuff like that. So I don't know if maybe they're still working on him and they're waiting to like complete him or something. I don't know what the deal is, but I think anything that was like in the story mode, especially cool stuff like Gohan Black, should just be playable already. There's no like, if they don't add Gohan Black at some point, I will be genuinely disappointed because it's such a cool concept and he's in the game. Why not let us just play as him? I don't understand. I don't know if maybe there's a legal issue for that. I kind of doubt it. If he can even exist, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to play as him. But yeah. Now, continuing on with the what if characters, we've got Gokil, or Mr. Gotan, as some games say. This is the fusion of Goku and Hercule from Budokai 2, which is actually funny. This is technically a thing we see in the anime. It's when Goku's imagining if he did fuse with Hercule, what that would be like. Because, he was kind of getting desperate. He's like, Gohan, like, got absorbed and stuff. I need someone to fuse with. So, yeah, Gokil would be a really funny addition because I just want... For me, I think Sparking Zero's strongest suit, the strongest thing that they could work on is what if stuff. I think if they really go heavy on the what if stuff, especially for DLC, this game can have a really long lifespan because I think that's like the number one thing people would be excited for. Just what if stuff we really haven't seen that much except for like in old games. So I don't know if there's like any like legal issues with that, to be fair, but if it's possible, I think going heavy on the what if stuff is the right move. Which, continuing with this, we've got Tiencha, or Yamhan, as some games say. Tiencha is such a better name. Again, this is another just what if fusion. I feel like would give people more of a reason to use like Yamcha and Tien. And same thing with Hercule in the last one. If they have a fusion, I think that would motivate people to want to play these characters even more. Like, I already play Yamcha a bit just because he has his OG outfit. But that's the thing, like, that's what inspired me to play Yamcha. Now, if we got like a fusion of Tien and Yamcha and you can use that mid-battle, that would be so sick and motivate me to want to use those characters even more. And honestly, it's just like a really silly design and stuff like that. So I think it'd be cool to see officially in the game. Now, the next what if thing I have here is the Buu absorptions from Budokai 2. So in that game, Buu could absorb Frieza, Cell, Tien, and Yamcha, and also Vegeta. Again, I feel like this one wouldn't be too hard to do. You kind of just need to put... Like if you absorb Frieza, for example, just give Buu like Frieza's ultimate or something like that. Or give like, when he absorbs Cell, give him Cell's Solar Kamehameha. Which actually, what is it? I don't even know what that move's called in Sparking Zero. Is it not still Solar Kamehameha? I swear a lot of games called it Solar, so I don't know if it's still that or if it's maybe Perfect Kamehameha. I don't know, but whatever Cell's ult hit is, give him that. Tien and Yamcha, you can give him like, you know, Wolf Fang Fist and like Tri Beam and stuff like that, especially because he does take on Tien's appearance because the implication is Tien's the stronger one. So give him like Tri Beam, but also like Wolf Fang Fist, that sort of thing. And then Vegeta's give him Final Flash. I think these could really work. Again, we haven't ever seen like most of the stuff I'm talking about since Budokai 2. So I don't know if they would, but again, I think it'd be the smartest move for them to do is go heavy into the what if stuff, and starting with like what ifs that we've already seen would probably be the easiest, because you go with those, you can kind of see how people are reacting to it, and also you have something to work with. Like there's a basis from like Budokai 2. Like for example, with Gokyo, he's got like this pink Spirit Bomb. You can make that as ult. Just literally recolor the Spirit Bomb if you want. Stuff like that I think would really work here, and I think it's the smartest move Sparking Zero could make. Out of all the ideas I have here for characters, the number one ones I want to see are these what ifs. I think that is the best way Sparking Zero could go. I think that's the best direction it could go, and would really make this game have a lot more longevity and stuff like that. This next one would be a completely original what if, and I use this art here by Daft Duff Art, so shout out to them. I used it because I just think it's the best art of this concept I've ever seen. So this would be the fusion dance version of Caulifla and Kale. So we've got Kefla with the Potara. So going fusion dance, which I call Kale. I don't know what name they would go with, but I think, honestly, here's my thing. I'm going crazy with the what if stuff here because we have Gohan Black. If we can get Gohan Black in this game, I think anything is possible. I don't think a fusion dance, Caulifla and Kale is too far-fetched. Like, if anything, I think because of Gohan Black, fusion what ifs are like the natural next step, you know? Just because, you know, fusions are really hyped. They know that. They know Gohan Black is a cool concept. So, you know, going to that very next step of fusion what ifs, I think is the coolest thing they could do. And Caulifla and Kale fusion dance, bro. Because then we could have Gogeta, the Kale as I call it, and then Gotenks on a team. That'd be a cool interaction. Like, stuff like that. Again, honestly, talking about this, I might be getting a little too excited because what are the chances they actually do this? But if they did, think about how cool that would be. That would be so sick. Again, I'm going crazy here because we've got Gohan Black. I think anything is possible. So this next one is another what if fusion, and shout out to Saitsu MD. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right. They made the mod of this character for fighters, but the character would be Trunkton. I use the mod because again, I really like the design that he went with for this character. But yeah, Trunkton, which is the Potara version of Goten and Trunks. Pretty much the same thing I said about Caulifla in Kale's fusion dance, Kale, is like if we have Gohan Black, anything's possible. And again, I think fusions are the natural next step for what if stuff, which is why I started with all of the fusions that I would want. Would be really interesting too, because this would be the first Potara fusion that's Super Saiyan 3. So we'd have the Super Saiyan 3 fusion dance with Gotenks, and then a Super Saiyan 3 Potara with Trunkton. I think that would be really sick. And even if the movesets are pretty much the same for them, maybe they could give them like a new ultimate or something. Same thing with like Kale. If they like mostly keep things the same, but just kind of have some aesthetic differences, I think that alone is enough. Like, you could give Kale Kefla's ult, I don't mind that, but just have her have like a slightly different animation or something. I think that alone would make it so cool to play as her. But yeah. So continuing with the what if fusions, we've got, well, what I call Gokhan. I just directly quoted the tweet, so shout out to Fishki24 because they posted this video of a mod of a Goku and Gohan Potara fusion. Now, I think out of all the what if fusions I've talked about, this one's probably the most likely because if y'all guys have played the episode battle with the what if stuff, Sparking Zero typically likes to keep the what ifs like pretty canon. So like when they write out the stories for the what ifs, they kind of keep it within the rules of Dragon Ball. So they don't do just anything that they want. They write it in a way that it still makes sense within the world and could actually likely happen. So for this one, literally, they just need to make Gohan catch the Potara. That's the only difference. Just Gohan catches the Potara and then they fuse. That's why I think this one is the easiest one to do and the most likely out of all the fusions to happen. And like, this is what I'm surprised they didn't do in the base game, because this seems like such an easy idea. Just, yeah, Gohan and Goku fuse with the Potara because Gohan doesn't miss the Potara. Like, that seems pretty simple to me. And then having it, like, he could probably have, like, the ultimate form, like how Gohan Black actually has ultimate, too. So, I think this one would be the most likely out of all the what-ifs I've talked about, but we'll see. Again, I'm going to keep saying this. I think what-ifs is the direction Sparking Zero should really focus on. So with OG Dragon Ball, I feel like one of the best characters that they could add would be Teen Krillin. I went with Teen because that's what they call Kid Goku as well. You could say Kid or Teen, same thing. I specifically want more OG Dragon Ball characters in the game. I feel like having only Kid Goku is not really good enough. I really want better representation for the rest. And I think Kid Krillin would just be the perfect one to add. You know, he's Goku's best friend. There's a lot of fights that they have together. Like, one of the most iconic is the 22nd World Tournament where, you know, Goku and Krillin fight together. You've probably seen GIFs of it and stuff all over the place. It's really an iconic fight. Lots of good choreography and everything. So I just think Kid Krillin would be the perfect choice to add here because he is a fighter in OG Dragon Ball and he does a lot. Next character I got for OG is Giran. I specifically went with Giran because he's one of the earliest characters that's actually a threat. And by a threat, I mean like in the tournament, Goku's actually almost going to lose to him. Giran makes it pretty far in the tournament. He felt like, if you go back and watch OG Dragon Ball, he did feel like a threat. Like, oh, Goku might actually lose because of this guy. And another reason is, if you know, for you Xenoverse 2 players, if you all remember the early days of Xenoverse 2, Go-Go Gum is was one of the most annoying moves in the game, and that's actually something that Giran does. Go-Go Gum, believe it or not, comes from Giran. So the games have acknowledged his move at least. So I think Giran being added here would make sense for OG Dragon Ball. He's a dragon, so he could like fly with his wings and everything. I think they could come up with a pretty good move set, but the Go-Go Gum especially is like a big thing that they could definitely add, and it'd probably be really annoying, honestly. But I'm here for it. It doesn't, you know, I'm down for this. Absolutely. Next character I've got is Chi-Chi from the 23rd World Tournament because this Chi-Chi actually fights Goku. This is the tournament where Goku like proposes and they get married and all that stuff. But this Chi-Chi locks in, like, you know, she gets far in the tournament. Y'all gotta remember, she made it as one of like the finalists to actually enter the tournament. Like she went through the preliminaries and made it to fight Goku. She was that locked in. And Tenkaichi 3 also, I believe, had Kid Chi-Chi. That's why she's not listed here. So I just feel like adding adult Chi-Chi just makes sense, and it would work perfectly. I think that someone who fought Goku, even though she did lose to Goku ultimately, but she did fight Goku. I think that gives her, you know, makes her more than deserving of a spot here. Next character here is Monster Carrot. This would be more of just like a joke character because Monster Carrot's whole thing is that he touches you and you turn into a carrot, so it could work even like, you know, like Candy Beam that Boo does. Except imagine you do actually just turn into a carrot for a few seconds and sit there. Like, it's not like Candy, because in the game right now, Candy Beam, it's just like Boo will turn you into chocolate and then attack you. But it'd be funny if Monster Carrot turns you into a carrot for a few seconds. Like, can't damage you, but just has a move that can do that or something like that. I don't know. I just think he'd be a funny joke character and another way to give us an OG Dragon Ball character. I just think that he'd be funny is my main reason that he's here. Do I think it's likely? Probably not. But I would find it hilarious personally if they added Monster Carrot. But yeah. Now jumping into Dragon Ball Z, the first one I have here is Chilled, but this comes with the prerequisite that they add Super Saiyan Bardock because for some reason Bardock does not have any transformations in the game. We'll talk about that more in the transformations video, but yeah, if they add that Bardock though, I think Chilled would be really cool. Again, another Frieza race character that we could get, which could lead to really interesting interactions. And I don't know, when was the last time we even saw Chilled? Was Chilled ever playable in a console game, actually? I don't think so. So this would be like the first console game. I mean, unless you count Heroes. This would be like the first proper console game to add Chilled. So I think he would be really cool to add. I just think it would work really well. And then if we're adding Super Saiyan Bardock as a DLC, just bring Chilled with him. That would be perfect. Next character I have from Z is Tarble. So part of the reason I have Tarble here is because he was actually in Raging Blast 2. So, you know, there's at least some sort of basis to make a moveset for him and everything like that. So they don't have to go off of nothing. And also just the fact that Raging Blast is kind of a spiritual successor to Tenkaichi, or it was at the time. So I think Tarble definitely deserves a spot here. Just it would be really cool to see him, you know, be playable in a game. And Tarble's also kind of technically canon because in Broly, Vegeta does mention having a brother. We don't ever learn the name of his brother because that's the thing. It's canon that Vegeta has a brother. We don't know if that's necessarily Tarble, but Tarble's the only brother of Vegeta we've ever known, so probably. But yeah, just the fact that he was in Raging Blast, though, I feel like he should come back in this game. And of course, going along with that is Hachiyak. I think Hachiyak would be the perfect character to add here. Again, another just big bad guy who's also a Tuffle, so interactions with him and Baby would be really cool. And Hachiyak also has a giant form, just like Baby has Great Ape. So I think adding him would be cool. I feel like a lot of people do like Hachiyak. Like, I feel like whenever he is brought up, there is definitely a corner of the fan base that gets really excited. Like, I remember he got an LR in Dokkan recently, and people were very excited about that. So I think Hachiyak's a cool character, cool design. Like, him being a Tuffle is really cool. So getting more Tuffles and interactions with that would be sick. Now the next character, this one's technically Z and Super, but I'm just going to include it here with Z, is Paragus. I think Paragus, like, you could just add 2 different costumes for his Z and his Broly movie design. I don't think they need to have like vastly different move sets or anything like that because it's just Paragus. So I just think he'd be a cool addition to the game. He's another character I was surprised wasn't already in Tenkaichi 3. I could have sworn he was, but nope, he actually is not. So yeah, I think Paragus would be the perfect addition to Sparking Zero and would go along with both Brolys. And that would be an interesting interaction, having a team of like, Paragus with both Brolys. How would he react to that? That'd be interesting. But yeah. The next character I have here is Kid Vegeta. So part of the reason I think this could happen is because we've got Mini Vegeta coming to Sparking Zero. We know that's confirmed. So they could maybe just change up the proportions of the model a little bit and make a Kid Vegeta. Plus, then we could have Paul Castro Jr. voicing Kid Vegeta. I think that would work really well. And also, Kid Vegeta was playable in Kakarot, so they have like a moveset they could use for him too, like at least some semblance of one. I just think it'd be really cool because we got Kid Goku, so adding Kid Vegeta would be awesome. And he does have multiple different designs. Like, he's got like his Prince armor with the cape and everything. He's got kind of a similar outfit to his Buu Saga outfit. And then he's got the Broly movie armor. I just think if they add him, they should just add all of those costumes. I don't see a reason why not. So, yeah. And now the next character I've got here is Androids 14 and 15. I just think they should be added because Android 13's in the game, and they could maybe even update Android 13's transformation animation whenever they add these guys. Because, in the movie, Android 13 like absorbs the parts of 14 and 15 that have been destroyed to become Super Android 13. Whereas in Sparking Zero, it's just like a regular power-up animation. I just think it'd be cool to just kind of add this as like an extra little thing, because they could always update the animations, right? So, with 14 and 15, adding them with an updated Android 13 would be cool. Plus, I think adding just more androids to the game is a good idea. So, yeah. Now, jumping into GT, I would want GT Vegeta, so base form and Super Saiyan, basically. I think this one's actually one of the most likely characters that will be added for 2 reasons. One, if y'all remember in Tenkaichi 3, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta was just listed as Vegeta End. So, Buu Saga Vegeta, basically, because they didn't have a GT Vegeta in the game, so they were like, we'll just call him End. But in Sparking Zero, he's actually GT Vegeta. And the second reason I think that he could be added is in the files, people have found that, you know how every time you transform with a character, they do like a little pose that if you don't move, they'll stay in that pose? GT Vegeta, or Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, I should say, has his pose with like his fist out. I'll show like a video of it on the screen right now so you know what I'm talking about. But he's got his fist out, which is from GT, when he first goes Super Saiyan 4. So the fact that's in the files tells me GT Vegeta was probably planned and then got scrapped at some point, which to me says that later on down the line they could add him because we are missing other GT characters. So I think GT Vegeta is pretty likely, but we'll see. Next I've got GT Trunks. We have Goku and Pan, and Trunks was the 3rd main character of GT, so I'm just like, why not add Trunks? I feel like he would be fitting, he makes sense. I think GT Trunks deserves the spot. Only thing is, I don't know if they'd make him his own whole character or just give him like a costume on regular Trunks. I'm not sure how they would do it. I need to go check actually, because they could give it to Melee Trunks specifically because GT Trunks doesn't use the sword. But I don't know, does Melee Trunks already have interactions with GT characters like Pan and Goku? Because if so, then maybe it'd be more likely he has a costume. But if he doesn't have any special interactions with them, he could be his own character potentially. And I would like if he was his own character just so they can build a more unique moveset for him. But honestly, they could just put unique supers onto Melee Trunks. That works too. Next up, we've got GT Goten, mostly because if we've got GT Trunks, then, we should add Goten too. And I just think he'd be a cool addition to have another version of Goten, an adult version of Goten, in the game. So I think that would be really cool. And, he definitely should be added. Next up, I've got Ice Shinron. So again, as I mentioned before, I'm not talking about Tenkaichi 3 characters, and Nova was in there, but again, this is assuming they add everyone from Tenkaichi 3. Ice Shinron would just be a recolor of Nova with a different moveset, so I feel like that makes him pretty easy to add. Another reason, though, is Super Saiyan 4 Goku's ult currently in Sparking Zero is the Dragon Fist that he does against Ice Shinron. So I just think it'd be fitting if, they add Ice Shinron, so then you could be canon about Goku's ult, do it the way it was done in the show. I think Ice would be easy enough to add. You just need to do, unique moveset with Ice moves, but overall his model is just a recolor of Nova, if they've got that planned already. So, yeah. Next character is one that I'm actually surprised to learn wasn't in Tenkaichi 3, but General Rildo. He's one of the more memorable GT characters and villains, and he has multiple different forms. So I think coming up with a moveset with him would be really interesting. And he's just one of the more memorable GT characters. The games do typically talk about him at least. Surprised that he hasn't been added in the Xenoverse yet. I'm sure that was probably coming on the way somewhere. But yeah, I think Rildo's one of the more memorable GT characters, and I want more GT characters in this game as well. So I think he would be a perfect addition, especially considering all the different forms that he has. Now, two other characters I've got here that I don't think will happen, but Goku and Vegeta Jr. Now, part of me wouldn't mind if they just made these outfits, maybe drop them for free, assuming they add Kid Vegeta, right? So they make these outfits for GT Goku and then Kid Vegeta or something like that. I would want them to be their own characters personally. But again, I don't know how likely that is because I feel like Heroes Legacy is not usually talked about. I think the last game that did anything with them was Dokkan, which we got an LR of them with the 7th anniversary, but that's because it fit the theme. I thought it was really cool that we got anything with them, though. And they could even, if they add them to Sparking Zero, just go with the Dokkan attacks as a basis for their moveset. Again, I don't think this is likely because I'm pretty sure they've literally never been in a console game. I don't even know. Does Heroes even have these guys? I don't know, actually. So I don't know how likely this one is, but I just think it'd be cool. But again, even if they just added the outfits, I'd be a little disappointed, but honestly, would just be happy that they're represented at all. So yeah. Now jumping into Dragon Ball Super. So first thing I want to mention, what we're going to start this list of Super characters with, is that I think every single universe that participated in the Tournament of Power should have at least one representative in the game. So there are some universes that are not represented at all in Sparking Zero. So to start with that, my rep for Universe 4, which is again not represented at all, would be Ganos. So some of y'all might remember this, but I'm sure you guys remember the Kamehameha, at least especially if you're a Dokkan player. This is LR free-to-play Roshi from Year 7. Roshi uses that Kamehameha against this guy named Ganos, who's this bird dude. I'll pull up the picture of him so you guys can see, but yeah, he's this bird-looking guy, and he actually has a transformation where he's even more of a bird. The reason I picked him from Universe 4, though, is just because, one, he does fight against Roshi, and I believe he's the last one standing for his universe. So the fact that he got a major fight against someone from Universe 7 and was the last one standing, I don't think there's anyone better to add from Universe 4. And he also has a transformation. So I feel like out of everyone from Universe 4, he is major enough to be added. The next universe that I think needs representation is Obuni, who's from Universe 10, which, fun fact, is actually Zamasu's universe, so you could kind of say maybe Zamasu is the representation, but I'm talking about Tournament of Power Fighters. This guy, kind of a similar situation to Ganos. He fights against Gohan and was also the last one standing for his universe, I believe. So again, same reasons as Ganos, he has a major fight against someone from Universe 7, but even more so the fact that it's Gohan. And I don't know if y'all remember, but the way this ends is Gohan knocks him off, and then a little locket falls out, showing that Obuni has a family. So, pretty sad episode, honestly. But I think Obuni deserves a spot out of anybody from Universe 10. And now those two universes were actually the only ones that had zero representation at all. So now we're going to go through some universes that I think need more representation. So first, starting off with Katapesla, who's from Universe 3, which is actually Andy Laza's universe. The reason I pick him is I just think he's one of the most memorable characters in this entire arc overall. I'm sure you guys remember his design, at least. If you've seen the Tournament of Power, there's no way you don't remember at least his design. You might not remember anything he did, but his design was really, really stood out a lot. I also want to add him because Universe 3 only having Andy Laza, I feel like it shouldn't only have a giant as a representation. Obviously, because Andy Laza is the more major character, makes sense. But I would like a character who's not a giant to be also represented here. Katapesla is just really funny, though. And again, super, super memorable. So I think he would deserve the spot out of any other character of Universe 3. So then next we have Botamo. Part of the reason I have him here is because I feel like he deserves the spot just because he is one of the first characters from Universe 6 that we ever meet. if you guys remember the Tournament of Destroyers, which is the Goku versus Hit, Kaioken Blue tournament, Botamo is one of the characters that we see first. I think he's the first fight, actually. Like, Goku versus Botamo was like the very first fight in that tournament. The only thing is, like, I kind of understand why they didn't add him yet, though, because obviously they wanted to get the Saiyans, so Kale, Caulifla, Kaba, which we do meet Kaba here in this tournament, but Kale and Caulifla and then Kefla we don't see until the Tournament of Power, so I get it. But the fact that, Botamo is one of the first characters we meet from Universe 6, I think he deserves the spot. And then, of course, if we're going to have Botamo, we're going to have to add Magetta, too. Like, pretty much everything I said about Botamo also would apply to Magetta. Just, he's one of the first characters we met. He deserves a spot. I think Magetta would be a little more unique, too, being like a robot and everything. I think with all his lava moves, I think it could be really cool. Now, the next two I'm actually just going to talk about together here are Salanel and Purina, which are the two Namekians from Universe 6. The reason I think they should be added is because I just want to see more Namekians in the game. Because you can kind of technically run a full Namekian team if you run like Lord Slug, Piccolo fused with Kami, Nail, and then Superhero Piccolo. I guess you could technically do a full Namekian team, but that's like 3 Piccolos, Where if you add Salanel Purina, then you have a whole team of unique Namekians. I think the interactions would be really interesting for that too. And yeah, they could be really strong, have pretty unique movesets. If you guys don't remember, these guys actually fused with every other Namekian from Universe 6, so they should be pretty powerful, like, I mean, in the anime they should have been, but they weren't that big of a threat, but they were still pretty cool. I would like to see them both added, though, just, because they exist and they're from Universe 6, and just get the Universe 6 rep in here. Because Universe 6 is like, the second most popular universe, so just getting more representation for that is awesome. Now, the next character I have here is Dr. Rota. Honestly, the thing is, I don't know if they've got enough material to work with for him to be his own character, but the reason I have him here, if I'm being completely honest, is I have the rest of Universe 6, so I was like, well, there's one guy left over, might as well add him too. And it would also just be really funny, because I don't know if you guys remember the whole bit with Dr. Rota is he kept doing like, oh, I'm going to use my ultimate ability, but then would get interrupted each time. So it'd be really funny for what Sparking Zero just comes up with for what his ultimate ability actually is, like his ultimate attack. I just think that'd be really funny. But yeah, Dr. Rota's mostly here because I literally listed the rest of Universe 6, so I feel like, I just didn't want to leave him out. Now, the next two, again, I'm going to talk about together are Lavender and Basil. These are two that I also think would be pretty easy to implement purely because they've already got models. If you guys didn't know, if you use Botamo's ultimate in the game, he does the Danger Triangle Beam, which has Lavender and Basil show up in, during the ultimate. So they have models already. They would just need to make them playable at this point. And I think, again, from Universe 9, having the whole trio of Danger would be really cool. Plus they've got pretty unique stuff, like Lavender has, the whole thing with the poison, and then Basil does like a lot of kicks and stuff. One thing I also forgot about too, by the way, is Basil can transform. I completely forgot that this happens in the anime, and I watched that whole anime twice. I remember a lot of stuff from that anime of Dragon Ball Super, but I completely forgot he gets like this big buff mode. I literally didn't remember that happening. But yeah, apparently that does happen, so yeah, but anyways, I just think adding Bergamo, did I say Botamo earlier? I meant Bergamo. Adding Bergamo's brothers would really work. I think it would help fill the roster out even more. Now, this next one is kind of like a big collection, but I would like all of the Gods of Destructions and Angels, or at the very least, the ones that had universes fighting in the Tournament of Power. We've seen some Gods of Destructions actually fight together in the anime and the manga, funnily enough. So in the anime, it's when the Grand Priest is like building the Tournament of Power. He has the Gods of Destruction, some of them. I think the 3 that were excluded from the Tournament of Power specifically, they fight to test out how powerful the stage is. And one thing that's interesting is the Fox God of Destruction. I think his name is Licker, however you pronounce it. He actually uses like a key blade, like a sword, like Goku Black's like key sword. He uses one of those too. So between that, like the anime, the manga, and then Dragon Ball Heroes, and actually even Xenoverse recently just added Belmod, which makes sense, Universe 11. I think with those, we could get like a pretty unique moveset. Like the fact Xenoverse 2 came up with a moveset for Belmod makes me believe they could do it for any of the Gods of Destruction. So I would want all of them and the Angels, and especially like with Dragon Ball Heroes, there's a lot of different attacks they could pull from that. I think Xenoverse might have even pulled some of their attacks from Heroes. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that. But I think the Gods of Destruction would all be really cool. The Angels, I don't know how difficult it would be to make a moveset for them, especially because I don't know if they're all even playable in Heroes, maybe. I know the Gods of Destruction are. I don't remember about all the angels. But anyways, all of the Gods of Destructions and angels in this game would be really cool, but I feel like this one's probably not that likely. Maybe we'll get probably Champa, Vados, and then Belmod. But I don't know about all of them. I would like all of them, though. That'd be cool. Next character I've got here is Jacko. Again, he'd be another like troll character they could do. I think they could do a lot with his gun, especially because we saw with the Gammas that they've got a lot of stuff like prepared to use guns with. So I feel like Jacko would work here, and he also was a Xenoverse character, so you know, why not just bring him to this game too? I know part of that though is because he was actually DLC for Xenoverse 1 because Resurrection F came out during that game's lifespan. Like, yeah, you must feel old hearing that. Yeah, I'm sure y'all feel old too. Like, oh my gosh, that was that long ago. But yeah, I think Jacko would be like just a fun troll character to add, and you know, he was playable before, so why not? Alright, so the next character here. So you might have noticed so far in this video, I haven't mentioned any characters from Superhero or Daima or anything like that. That's because at the time of me making this list, I was waiting to see what the DLC added first, because I felt like there were some obvious characters, like, yeah, obviously with Superhero DLC, they were going to add like Beast Gohan. I didn't want to put Beast Gohan on the list because I felt like that'd be redundant and obvious, so I wanted to wait until these DLCs came out to talk about who they didn't add, who I would like to see. So first here, we've got Goten and Trunks from Superhero, along with Gotenks technically, so 3 characters here. But I just think they'd be cool additions to the roster, you know, because, I mean, Goten and Trunks are finally older in Superhero, so getting an older Goten, well, specifically Goten, I guess Trunks, we already have future Trunks, but getting an older version of Goten and Trunks in the game, as long as a new version of Gotenks, especially because we don't have any of the failed fusions in the game, so giving us, you know, the failed Gotenks as a playable character would be really, really cool. Plus, like, you know, expand Superhero. Only thing with that is I don't know when they would implement them because they kind of ran out of characters for another entire Superhero DLC, I feel like. So, I don't know. Maybe they could do like a mini pack or something, or just slap these characters onto some other DLC. I don't know. We'll see what they do. Maybe they'll just do like random characters in some DLCs, but I think they'd be cool. And then the next character is Pan from Superhero. Pan specifically, I think, would be more likely than Goten and Trunks, just because Pan was one of the most major characters in Superhero, and pretty much every game that, well, besides the console games, I guess, like Dokkan and Legends both added Pan like pretty quickly. Goten and Trunks came later to Dokkan, but I think Pan's one of the more major characters in Superhero over Goten and Trunks. I'm kind of surprised she wasn't in this DLC, but it does make sense when you consider who all they did add. But I think Pan is like the one missing piece from Superhero that they should have added. Plus, my other thing with it is they can use that model for Pan to give us End of Z Pan, which I guess would just be like a costume change. But my point is they could use the same model and just give us End of Z Pan's costume. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, I think Pan is like one of the characters that was missing that's like a major piece of Superhero. But yeah, that's all the characters for now. Again, I didn't talk about anyone in Tenkaichi 3 because I just think everyone in Tenkaichi 3 should be added to Sparking Zero, but let me know if there's any characters outside of that that I didn't mention that you think I should have mentioned, because there might be some that I forgot. Or, biggest thing here is if you have any what if ideas, leave them down below, because I would love to see what you guys come with, because I'm sure there's stuff that I didn't even think about that could be added. So yeah, that's it for this video though. Go watch the other ones. I've got more topics if you want to see like stages, costumes, that sort of stuff. Just go to the other videos on my channel. I'm gonna be uploading these probably just like all back to back, so they should be available soon if they're not already. But yeah, that's where we're gonna leave this video off. So thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.